and welcome to Who Watches Who, a Doctor Who podcast with me, Matthew, and as always, I am joined with...
Yes, hello, it's Scott, and we're still celebrating Valentine's Day a week later.
Christmas. Oh,
Valentine's Day and Christmas rolled into one.
The two combined. They've combined. My two favorite days in the entire year are joined together hand in hand. As yes, February is the month of love, and we've been looking at the most romantic episodes in Doctor Who with Girl in the Fireplace, Cyberwoman, and now Husbands of River Song. Which I think for a while, or with a lot of people, is regarded as like the best Christmas special episode.
The Husbands of River Song.
Having rewatched it, having rewatched it, I don't think it is.
I don't think I've ever considered it to be one of the best, but I can understand why people were duped into the whole thing with River and the Doctor at the end. It does leave you in a good spot for sure.
Mm-hmm. But, the ending is really solid, but the actual episode itself is like fucking terrible.
Yes, but we'll get into it.
We will. As of course we are covering the Husbands of River Song, an episode that first aired on the 25th of December 2015, which was a Friday, and a lovely 9 years, 1 month and 13 days ago when I wrote this, so like 9 years and 2 months thereabouts. So 9 years. This is almost a decade old episode.
Fucking hell.
You know, I think Christmas this year, this episode becomes 10 years old. Isn't that upsetting? That's insane. Capaldi was the Doctor 10 years ago. You know, and not even freshly as the Doctor, you know? Like...
Yes, this is like the start of his fucking swan song. It's fucking insane.
It makes me feel so old. But let us take a look at what the world was like on Christmas Day 2015. This is a rather short segment I've got today. President Barack Obama was in his second term as president, and his coming towards the end of his time as president. The elections were 2016, weren't they? Trump came in 2017, so he still had a year of Obama before Trump came into power.
The before times. Just one more year of relatively normal shit.
Yeah. And Mr. Prime Minister David Cameron was in charge of the UK at the time. He was Prime Minister maybe about 15, 16 Prime Ministers ago. And again, this is just before Brexit in 2016, before the madness happens in this country as well. Everything is just going calmly. You know, it's status quo, same old. We haven't really kicked into that, you know, 2010, 2020 sort of madness politics that everybody seems to just thrive in. But the thing that really people care about here in 2015, Christmas Day, is the cinema.
Oh God, yeah.
What is raking on the money on Christmas Day?
Fucking Star Wars came out a week ago, so it's probably still Star Wars, isn't it?
It is absolutely still Star Wars. Episode 7, The Force Awakens, which grossed $57 million on its opening night, which is the highest grossing Thursday night opening of all time. When it came out, I don't know if it's been beaten yet. I don't think it has. And it made a lot of money, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and it was in cinemas for ages, and it broke a bunch of records. It was like the third or fourth highest grossing movie of all time, somewhere on that list. Bad movie.
Bad, okay.
Oh yeah, Force Awakens is bad. I remember even watching it in cinemas. There's good bits in it, don't get me wrong. Like anything in the sequel series, I like Kylo Ren quite a bit. I think he's a really compelling character. I especially hate the dialogue in Force Awakens. out of any other Star Wars movie, even the sequels, like Force Awakens feels like a Marvel film. The way that characters talk to one another. Everyone is quipping constantly. There's like it's bad dialogue. Bad dialogue in a pretty mediocre to bad movie.
I haven't seen it since 2019, so I couldn't tell you how it holds up. But I remember really enjoying it. You know, it's a shame Disney fumbled the ball completely.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of directly responsible for the disappointment of the sequels, because that film sets up so many things without the ever intending to pay them off in the classic J.J. Abrams style. You know. It's very pretty. It's something about all the sequels films.
Yeah,
cinematography is incredible. The effects are incredible.
For sure, back when we used to do stuff without the volume, it looked a lot better for it.
Remember when everyone liked the volume for like a year?
Yeah.
And then Disney were like, "Oh, everyone loves it. Awesome. We're gonna stick it in everything.
Let's just use it all the fucking time." Apart from like one episode of Mandalorian where they go onto a real hill, and you're like, "Holy shit, this looks great." It's a hill.
Yeah. I mean, like even Doctor Who uses the volume now. Yeah. Everything uses it.
But when Doctor Who used the volume, it was at least in an episode where it's set entirely on one bit of sand. So
yeah. But hey, Star Wars is breaking in the money, and that's super, super cool. I have nothing else for On This Day. Incredibly short segment. It was Christmas. Yep. What did you get for Christmas that year?
Didn't tell you.
Wow, so ungrateful.
Maybe this was the year I got Breaking Bad on Blu-ray. The entire box set that I never fucking watched. It's still sitting there. Haven't watched it. Haven't touched a single disc.
What a great gift. What a great gift.
Something I can watch on Netflix.
Yeah. It feels like it's weird that Breaking Bad isn't a Netflix original. You know, because they invest so heavily in that IP.
Yes, they do.
It's one of the things that I think made them so successful in the first place was Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it was one of the first shows you would binge watch on the platform. It's why Breaking Bad was popular in the first place. It's one of the first binges I did for sure on Netflix around 2013.
It's a binge I still do. I rewatch that show all the time. I'm rewatching it right now. I'm on season 2 of that show.
Oh, Jesus, you just fucking started like 2 days ago.
I know. It's really good. It's a really good show.
I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since 2015, which was when this episode of Doctor Who came out. Well, coincidence.
Yeah. And you didn't watch it on Blu-ray. You watched it on Netflix.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a very, very good show.
It's excellent.
But that's all I've got for On This Day, Christmas Day 2015, baby. I'm sitting down, gonna watch Husbands of River Song. I remember watching this episode when it came out, by myself, as nobody else in my family wanted to watch it.
Same here, my dude. I watched it in a food coma, and I probably almost fell asleep like 2 or 3 times. That's the best way to watch a Doctor Who Christmas special, just after a big meal.
That's the dream.
It's perfect. Yeah. But yeah, of course, this episode was written by Mr. Stephen Moffat. We fucking covered an episode of his 2 weeks ago, which was...
It's been a very Moffat month. Yeah. He's a romantic guy.
He's a romantic guy, and he's constantly horny, so he must be romantic. This episode was directed by Douglas McKinnon, who directed 8 other episodes of Doctor Who. He directed a Sherlock episode. It's the Victorian episode he directed of Sherlock, which
I think the last episode of Sherlock I've ever watched.
Which came out the week after this, I believe. So that's
wow.
He directed 2 episodes of Outlander, 2 episodes of Dirk Gently, and every single episode of Good Omens. So. Yeah. Good Omens.
Did you ever watch Good Omens and Dirk Gently?
Yes.
Yeah. If you know, you know. But did you ever watch Dirk Gently?
Oh yeah, of course, but Max Landis a little. Yes.
Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah.
I never watched Dirk Gently. I always wanted to because I love Elijah Wood, which fucking hell, Yellow Jackets came back. Yellow Jackets is coming back for us, but it came
it's out.
Yeah, it's out now when the episode is out. Elijah Wood is fucking fantastic in Yellow Jackets.
He is very good. I really, really enjoyed Dirk Gently when it came out on Netflix. Apparently it's nothing like the books. It's like a sequel to the books or something. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I never finished the second season because I think it was as that was airing, some stuff about Max Landis started to come out, and then I was like, God, another one of the people I like.
Well,
gross.
I believe one of the things that went wrong with Max Landis is his dad was a bit of a helicopter parent. Which if you know, you know. If you don't know, I am not telling you.
You're better off. You're better off.
Especially, do not watch that footage if you haven't. Good lord, the Twilight Zone footage. Yikes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's cool. What a cool place Hollywood is.
So Stephen Moffat first got his job as Doctor Who showrunner in mid-2007. Obviously, he got handed the role from Russell T Davies, and around this time, he was also working on the Tintin movie, which was a Peter Jackson and Spielberg joint. Of course, famously, he asked Steven Spielberg if he could fucking leave that production to go join Doctor Who as the head writer, and Steven Spielberg was like, yeah, go ahead. So when he joined, he just wanted to do 3 seasons. So he just wanted to do 3 seasons, which would have just been Matt Smith's run. However, after Series 7, which was of course the season which had the 50th anniversary attached at the end of it, which must have been a nightmare season to work on, to do an anniversary special. Like one of the biggest anniversary specials. Yikes. But after Series 7, he decided he would stay on another year because he thought Series 7 was a bit shit, and he wanted to end on more of a high note. What's your opinions on Season 7? It's been a while for me.
It's been a while for me as well. I think I like Series 7 more than your average person, but I definitely think it's got some more ups and downs. And I remember when it was airing, I liked it when it was airing, but it was the Clara stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of Clara coming in, but now I look at Clara with rose-tinted glasses. I miss her so much.
She had an actual personality.
She did, and we did stuff and wanted to participate. But in my extremely slow rewatch of Doctor Who, I'm currently on Series 7. I'm on A Town Called Mercy, which is a pretty fun episode. But yeah, it was okay. I definitely think the 50th anniversary outshines every episode in Series 7. But kind of you want that. It's a big deal.
Yeah, Series 7 is a bit of a mixed bag, but it's better than a lot of seasons.
Yeah, it's not the worst series by far.
But yeah, one of the reasons he was going to leave at the end of Series 8, but one of the reasons he stayed on was because Jenna Coleman changed her mind about leaving and decided to do Series 9 after all. And then I was about to call him Spielberg. Fucking, who am I talking about? Stephen Moffat.
I don't know.
Stephen Moffat decided to stay on for Series 9 just to finish off the Clara storyline. And when he wrote this episode, The Husbands of River Song, it was going to be the last episode he ever wrote, which I think feels obvious. It feels like an end point for a writer who's been on the show for so long. But of course, he stayed on for Series 10 after all, and the rest is history.
Yeah, which I think him staying on for Series 10, probably a decent, Series 9 is kind of a mixed to bad bag, you know? And Series 10, I think Moffat redeems himself a bit.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, the reason this wasn't the last episode he wrote is because when he approached Chris Chibnall at some point in 2014, 2015, Chris Chibnall was like, hey, I'm kind of busy doing Broadchurch season 3 right now, so I can't focus on doing a Doctor Who season. So Stephen Moffat was like, hey, I'll just stay on one more year, give you enough time to work on Broadchurch, and then I'll leave this town. Which I don't blame him. After over a decade of working on this show, it must have been a nightmare. It's a similar story to John Nathan Turner, who joined the show in the 80s, and he wound up doing an entire decade up until 1989. Even though he wanted to leave after 5 Doctors in 1983, he was basically told every time from the BBC that, hey, this show isn't guaranteed to find a new showrunner, basically. So if you leave, this show could be cancelled. Yeah.
Chris Chibnall, the only Doctor Who showrunner to get to do 3 seasons and go.
Yeah.
He got to live the dream.
So of course, Russell T Davies was actually part of the reason why Moffat decided to bring back Alex Kingston. Because he apparently just kept on pestering him in emails, being like, bring back Alex Kingston. And he basically said Alex Kingston and Peter Capaldi together would be a sex storm. Which is interesting how horny these two men are. And Chris Chibnall's like the least horny man. Apart from when he writes Cyberwoman, of course.
Yeah, he got it all out early on in his career. Though, like that was... younger Chris Chibnall.
So finally, this episode was shown in cinemas in America, Germany, Austria, Vienna, and Canada, but not in the UK, which always fucking annoys me when they do everywhere apart from the UK. This episode won a Saturn Award for the Best Television Presentation. And of course, there was a conscious effort to make this a fun, kind of rompy kind of episode, because the last series was just really fucking dark. Which I think I remember at the time I had been asking for like a dark Doctor Who season for a long time. And then Series 9 came out and I hated it because it was so dark. and then I remember being like, hey, I want you to be lighthearted again. And then this episode came out and I hated it for being lighthearted. I like this episode.
You just hated everything.
It's a bit too fucking goofy.
It is very goofy, but... Like, I quite liked Series 9. Like, we've covered Magician's Apprentice and Witches Familiar earlier last year?
Yes, last
year.
8
months ago? Who knows? Like, it feels like recently, but it probably wasn't. And those were pretty good episodes. Like, they definitely had their flaws, but I think we came away being like, it was a pretty solid time. I have no memory of Under the Lake or Before the Flood. And I apparently remember the girl who died quite well because I talk about it all the time. Because I think that storyline kind of drove me insane with me, with becoming this immortal, and going to the end of the universe and stuff. But you've got the Zygon invasion and inversion in there, which we covered years ago.
Crazy.
Solid, really good episode. Sleep No More is probably the worst episode on there, which was done by the...
Inside Number 9 guys.
Inside Number 9, and I was really excited for that because I really liked Inside Number 9, and then that episode sucked ass, and I was like, God, that was dumb episode. But you know, the darkness was fine. I enjoyed it. I think Series 10 strikes a better tone.
Yes.
It feels more Doctor Who-y. But
Series 10 is just following the same basic formula from Series 1, which I think is like the perfect Doctor Who formula in terms of how many episodes set in the past, how many episodes set in the future, etc. How many two-parters. It really
got some
strikes
fun
a balance.
twists on it.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor going blind for multiple episodes. You know, like there's some fun little bits where you get thrown off, like, whoa, didn't expect that.
Yeah, I really do wish we would change the status quo like that a little bit more often.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have a new character in the mix for a couple of episodes, or just a storyline. Just any kind of interesting storyline, please.
Just do something. Just do something, please. Yes. I'm begging you.
Yes.
But, there you go. You got anything else?
No, that's us.
That's us. Awesome.
Are you ready to jump in?
Awesome. Let us jump in to the husbands of River Song. So, our episode begins in a winter wonderland. Cast your mind to Christmas time, to some sort of snowy village that feels like it's Santa's town, you know. And
this is the fucking set from Face the Raven, which was just only 3 episodes ago. It's fucking
really?
Obviously Face the Raven. It
just Christmased up.
Yeah, it's which, you know, this episode aired a month before, and I feel like at that point you would remember what that fucking looked like. It's not it's not the best reuse of a set, but this episode is fucking cheap as fuck. Holy shit.
It really is. But also, like, I kind of understand, like, if you need to make a whole ass town and you already have a town set, you know, like it's an easy bit of like, oh, we can just stick Christmas decorations up, rather than, you know.
But also,
no, it is a cheap episode.
And then there's no extras running around. There's like 2 extras on this entire street set. It's very limited. The fucking crowd shots later on are just like CGI images of random AIs. It's like, okay.
Yeah. But the towns may be empty, but the streets are filled with the sound of caroling.
Yeah.
As we hear
spooky
Christmas carols that are not quite Christmas carols. They feel they're like sci-fi'd up. So some of the lyrics are like, we're gonna die or whatever. All praise to the king dude. But they go up, it goes to the TARDIS, and there's a big sign, any carolers will be criticized, because the Doctor doesn't like people. Even it's classic Capaldi Doctor stuff, you know. It's like when he was the caretaker as go away humans or whatever, you know.
The original sign actually said in the script, carol singers will be vaporized. So this is the Doctor in a much better mood, I guess.
And Nardole comes to his door. This is our first time meeting Nardole, who would go on to be a companion. I was very surprised that Nardole became a recurring character.
Yeah.
When Series 10 was a thing, I was like, oh shit, Nardole. I mean, he's in the next series, the next episode.
Yeah, he's in the next fucking like 14 episodes. He's in it for the long haul at this point, and he's fucking awful here. I don't know if it's like Matt Lucas' performance isn't great, and the writing isn't great. Sorry.
Yeah, but the performance from anybody isn't great in this episode.
Yeah,
really. Like a lot of the acting is big cartoony, sort of like and like that's, and Nardole's like that normally, but in this he's turned up even more.
Yeah,
you know.
He does that kind of innocent baby voice the entire thing, Matt Lucas. His voice is like this the entire time. It's like, just please, fucking stop. That's what fucking Matt Lucas sounds like. But apparently, at this point, Matt Lucas was just a casual fan of the series, but his husband or partner at the time, Kevin McGee, was a massive fan, and being on Doctor Who was a big emotional experience because Kevin died of cancer in 2009, so this is kind of stepping into his late partner's favourite show. So I can imagine that would be very emotional to be a big part of this. Yeah. I didn't know that story before. I did research for this episode.
Yeah. And also, Matt Lucas very famously featured in an episode of Community, where they go to the Inspector Space-Time convention, and he plays an obsessive Inspector Space-Time fan, and it's just one of the many connections between Inspector Space-Time and Doctor Who. The parallels are terrifying. The things that Community predicted are incredible.
Was that episode part of the Gas Leak year?
I don't
Matt Lucas.
know.
I'm looking it up.
I do not know. Let's find out. Series 4 is the gas leak year.
Yeah. Can you tell me what episode it is?
Let's see. The power of the internet is at work here, people. He's looking. He's reading. He's searching for basic information. Very readable.
Got a Matt Lucas Community episode.
Yeah.
Conventions of Space and Time, which aired is the third episode of season 4. It was from the Gas Leak year.
It's Gas Leak. It's a pretty good episode.
Yeah,
some of the Gas Leak stuff isn't.
Yeah,
bad.
I think that's the last season of the show I actually watched. I got like midway through.
Oh wow.
It's not
Series
bad.
5 is bad.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Season 4 isn't bad, but it's just like season 4 of Sex Education. It's still watchable, but you can tell shit has gone off.
Yeah. Series 5 of Community, I think they try a little bit too hard to be like, we're back to being Community and we're wacky and weird and blah, blah. Series 6, I think it kind of comes back together again for that final season. I think it's very, very good. Not that like Series 5 is terrible. There's still some banger episodes. It's a good show.
I'll get back into it. The minute they start
6
production on this fucking movie, I will get back into it.
Yeah, it's been in pre-production forever now, it feels like.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. I swear to God, it's not going to happen. Everybody's too busy. Especially Joel McHale, who's doing Yellow Jackets and Scream.
Yeah, he's all over the place recently.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. And he's also got like a fucking Fox sitcom called Animal Control, which is apparently in its 4th season.
Never heard of it.
I know, neither have I until like yesterday.
Weird. But Nardole comes to the door of the TARDIS and is like, "Are you the surgeon that we're looking for?" And the doctor's like, "Yeah, that's close enough. What do you need?" And Nardole's like, "Well, surgery. You need to come and do it." And so the doctor's like, "Okay, cool." And goes off with Nardole.
Speaking of Yellow Jackets, Peter Capaldi is sporting antlers in this scene.
He is. Yes, he is.
Which the TARDIS has used a hologram to put that on his head to cheer the Doctor up after the events of losing Clara, the last episode. So. Which is I like that little touch. The TARDIS is just trying to cheer the Doctor up. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah. No, it's kind of cute.
And then the Doctor's like, "Oh, medical emergency. Will there be singing?" Which just reminds me of Amelia Perez. Which I've seen from that movie is when they're in
vagina.
From penis to vagina, that scene.
Yeah, man to woman,
woman to man. I'll watch it eventually. I'll watch it at the weekend.
I watched it. I watched it very recently. It is atrocious. It's really bad. I've never seen a musical that has no good songs. It has no good. Every song is terrible, and there's like long gaps between songs, and when characters start singing, it doesn't feel like a right moment. And there were several times when people would start singing, and it would make me laugh because I forgot it was a musical.
That's a good sign of a fucking musical. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Also, a lot of the people in the film can't sing, and it just sounds terrible.
Fucking hell, that 1 minute clip I saw. The Doctor guy cannot sing. Zoe Saldana cannot sing. Like, what is going on? Why is this the most nominated Oscar movie?
Oh my god, it's got more Oscar nominations than Return of the King.
It's ridiculous. What the hell is going on?
It's atrociously bad. It's crazy. But no, it's worth a watch. I was entertained. I was entertained. I was never felt bored throughout. I was baffled.
I feel like I'll need to watch it under the influence because I don't think I can get through it sober, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that would probably enhance it because it's crazy. It's so shit. And the plot keeps changing like all the time throughout the film. It's like what's going on? What's the plot?
I don't even know what the fucking movie's about. It's about is it some guy drug cartel who has a transgender operation? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, there's Zoe Saldana plays a lawyer. And the leader of the drug cartel is transgender, but is keeping it secret, and wants to get surgery to become a woman, and hires Zoe Saldana to find the surgeon to perform the surgery, which Zoe Saldana does, and then the person transitions and goes into hiding. And that's like the first maybe 15 minutes of the movie. And then the film continues from there, where the ex cartel leader it's got drama with their family. They're trying to get their family back under the secret. They're pretending to be the sister of this cartel leader. And then they start up like this charity to help people the cartel is wronged. Like there's just 1,000 fucking things that happen in it.
It's set in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So if a movie wins, I think Donald Trump is going to say a lot about it, because it's two things he hates the most: Mexico and transgender people. It's going to be an interesting tweet from Trump.
I bet he's right about this one, though. It shouldn't win.
No. We'll see.
Yeah, but Nardole takes the Doctor to this big red UFO spaceship where he meets a hooded lady who's very obviously River Song.
Yes.
And they have a little bit of a back and forth, and he's like, oh, hey, River, what's up? And River doesn't recognize the Doctor, and this is a recurring thing for a large part of this episode. River doesn't know the Doctor is the Doctor. The Doctor knows who River is, obviously, and the Doctor is trying to make River realize who he is. And it goes on. A lot of the scenes in this episode just go on. They just keep going.
Yeah, every scene is the Doctor going, oh, look at me, don't you recognize me? And River Song's like, no. Well, I am the Doctor. Yeah, you are the Doctor. I was looking for a doctor. I was looking for a surgeon, yes. And he just keeps on going like that forever.
It really, really does.
Capaldi gives a massive Grinch-style smile. Which just reminds me of Tim Curry in Home Alone 2. There's a shot where Tim Curry does the Grinch face as well. Fucking God, that face is amazing.
Yeah. It's a pretty good one. It's a fun little scene as well before they go in. I think it's a pretty solid opening to this episode, because then after that we basically get the intro credits. It's after the intro credits you get this first scene on the ship where it's like, okay, this is the type of episode we're getting, is it? I see.
Yeah.
I see.
The setup is fine, but it's just like, it just doesn't grab me, because the tone is just jokey the entire time.
Yeah.
And I just cannot physically connect to anything that's going on, because even though I do like Capaldi, I do like Alex Kingston, just there's no material. We aren't working with interesting material here. It's very shallow.
It is, and it's like, I think they're doing okay with what they've got, but the script is bad, the dialogue is bad, and every single scene is wallpapered with music.
Yeah.
There is like, I don't know if we've had a scene yet that doesn't have like whimsical music playing in the background, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know?
This is Murray Gold at his worst. For sure. Like, not even his worst in this episode, but like whenever we notice that his music is bad, it's because it's whimsical, it's because it doesn't shut the fuck up.
Stuff is bad.
We had an issue with some of his whimsical music in The Girl in the Fireplace a few weeks ago, but most of that fucking score was fucking excellent. This is just the same repetitive music over and over again. You can tell that Murray Gold is probably not working with a lot of budget for the music here, because it doesn't sound great at all.
No, it's pretty bad and repetitive. But the scene where they are inside the spaceship begins, and we see Greg Davies in a big red robot suit. He's playing
a big red robot suit that they had to use from a BBC show called Mission 2110. from like
Oh my
2010.
God.
So this is how low the budget is. They have to reuse a suit from a CBBC show.
That's incredible. I didn't know that at all. That's brutal.
And of course, this is a scene where they start cutting to crowd reactions, and because again the budget is so low, they have to use like grainy CGI, either CGI or archive footage.
I stock, it must be archive footage.
But it's like
just plastered on from some old movie.
Yep.
So Greg Davies is playing a character called King Hydroflax, who's like king of half of this galaxy or whatever. Like he's just like a big important dude, but also he's like this terrible warmonger, but everybody loves him. So like I'm really confused as to how we're supposed to feel about King Hydroflax, because he's apparently a really good leader who has the adoration of all of his people, but then it's like, and he eats people on the battlefield. And it's like, all right, Jesus. But he's like dying, and he's the husband of River Song, to which there's lots of huffing and puffing from Capaldi. Like, what do you mean he's a husband? What's this all about? And it goes on. I also think Greg Davies is horrifically miscast as King Hydroflax.
He's just a fucking shouty man this entire episode. He's just given just the most one-note performance I've seen in a good while on this podcast. It is not good.
And it's not like Greg Davies is like the most compelling actor ever. You know, he's kind of a one-note actor, but you kind of get the same character from him. The character from the In-Betweeners, the head teacher from the In-Betweeners is who he plays. And I just don't know. Like, if I'm thinking of King Hydroflax, who's this massive warmonger, incredible leader, king of half the galaxy, like, he should be charismatic,
fucking
scary, intimidating.
Someone like Brian Blessed. That'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah, big voice.
And it's a fairly not. It's not that hard of a performance for Brian Blessed, because he could just sit there on a chair and he can just film his head. You know, it's a simple performance.
But it's not like a bad performance from Greg Davies, and I was relatively excited when he got announced as being in this episode as the like guest celebrity character, you know. But he's whatever. He doesn't do much.
They are
in a bag.
Yeah, the Doctor and Nardole and River and the King are also surrounded by warrior monks with sentient laser swords, which they do look like Jawas from Star Wars. Laser swords, fucking Star Wars, of course. The sentient laser swords reminds me of fucking Katana from fucking Suicide Squad. This is Katana.
Soul, the sword that takes your soul.
Yes. Which, it's the same amount of writing, you know. Just it sounds cool, I guess, but the line is just written so badly.
Yeah, it's kind of just nonsense. I hate the Katana people, warrior monk people. Yeah. They feel racist.
But I guess if we are drawing from Jawas can be kind of racist, seen as racist as well.
I don't know. Like the Jawas, I think, are a bit more alien. Like these guys are just straight up making kung fu noises as they're swinging
they are.
Swords.
They really are. I forgot about that.
Oh god. But yeah. So River tells the Doctor to perform the surgery to save King Hydroflax because he's got something in his head. The Doctor's very confused, obviously, and is like, I don't really know what you want me to do. Let's go talk about it in another room. To which they go into a back room, and River reassures everybody that Hydroflax will rise again. He's going to be okay. Don't you worry. And then in this other room, she's like, so you got to kill King Hydroflax because he's got this diamond stuck in his brain, and I want the diamond, and we agreed that we're going to murder him, and it's going to be a cool time. And Capaldi's very appalled and shocked by this whole thing.
River Song pulls up some Tony Stark fucking bullshit technology where, you know, they start waving their hands all over the place. I always fucking hate that kind of bullshit. The
AR.
It never fucking looks cool. It always looks shit.
It's okay. You know, I think it's aged all right for 2015 Doctor Who. You know, like it doesn't look like a bad effect. It is a generic effect for sure. It's probably just a plug-in they had because Disney were just like, you know, they had all these things from Iron Man sitting around. Yeah, you can borrow it. Who gives a shit?
Of course, we do get like one of the most Scottish lines of the episode where Capaldi is being told to bow to the king, and Capaldi says, "My back's playing up. It simply refuses to carry the weight of an entirely pointless stratum of society who contribute nothing of worth to the world and crush the hopes and dreams of the working people." Iconic speech to say just 2 hours after the Queen's speech. Incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Again, though, I wish it wasn't undercut by the terrible music playing under it. Like the whimsical music makes it feel like Capaldi's making some sort of joke, you know, rather than stirring socialist speech about how we don't need the monarchy and how it's a wasted and futile effort of the ancient times. But maybe
the whimsical music is what stopped people from saying that Doctor Who is woke. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure people still complain.
If you put Ncuti Gatwa on screen to clown music, people wouldn't complain because they would think it's it's
a joke.
Yeah, just put all the woke stuff and just have circus music behind it. I'm sure people would stop complaining. Honestly.
Yeah, that was the problem the whole time. You're right. Goddamn. But so River tries to convince the Doctor that they need to kill Hydroflax, and obviously the Doctor's kind of not on board with this. And Hydroflax just kind of comes into the room, which I was kind of shocked at, because this guy was supposed to be, like, dying and getting prepped for surgery, and then he's just up and about. Yeah, and they kind of forget about this diamond that's, like, killing him. You know?
It's not the most consistent episode in terms of writing, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty bananas, BANANAS. And there's a weird bit where Hydroflax is like, "Hey, you want to take my head off? Well, you should have just asked." And then he takes his head off and puts himself on the table. The CGI is terrible, but when he puts himself on the table, I'm like, isn't this guy supposed to be a grand strategist, ultimate warrior sort of dude? If you're going into a room where two people are like talking about murdering you, why would you disarm yourself or decapitate yourself? You know, because immediately the Doctor's like, "I'm just gonna grab your head."
It just does not make sense. I was gonna say the same thing. There's a lot of just nonsensical shit in this episode.
There really is. There's a lot of nonsensical plot. The plot is so thin. It's kind of terrible. The dialogue is terrible. The scenes go on for really long. But this is our action scene we get here with the sonic trowel that River Song has.
Yeah. I'm also pretty sure we just skipped over River Song saying she also has some wives, which is also woke. And because circus music is playing in the background, people didn't pick up on it.
That's a joke, though. Yeah. And yeah, so the Doctor's like, "Hey, that sonic trowel's a bit shit. What a dumb thing to have." And it's like, you have sonic sunglasses.
It's also like the least practical thing to carry around in your bag or whatever.
Oh, massive
like,
big
what
trowel,
the fuck?
Yeah. Also, River has like a gun.
Yeah.
She but the Doctor stops the robot by threatening to throw his head down a
garbage disposal, which again, fucking Star Wars. There's a lot of fucking Star Wars in this episode. And also the fucking action scene here is fucking awful. We're in a small ass room. There's not really much going on in terms of the action, and it's just a lot of camera shaking and just
Oh yeah.
It's not great.
No, it's not great, but like, you know, as we've said, they are using a CBBC robot. They have no money. It's amazed they even made an episode to begin with. You know, considering this was shot with tin cans. But they eventually escape. They teleport away.
And they teleport away after 10 minutes of standing around in this fucking room.
Standing
10
around talking.
minutes. Insane.
Which usually we're fans of people standing around talking, but usually the dialogue has to be good. It has to be compelling
and they have to
and thought
and
out.
The dialogue so far has just been a constant loop of
Quits.
Oh, we need to kill him. Oh, I am the doctor. Look at me. I am the doctor. I'm your husband, etc., etc.
Yeah. It is that just on repeat for the next 40 minutes, basically. They teleport out into the snow, and we get King Hydroflax yelling in a bag, like, "Oh, you will be crushed. You will never defeat me." Blah 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 blah, which puts the Doctor into a fit of laughter, which is a kind of a sweet moment where, you know, he's like, "Oh, I've not laughed in a long time. It feels really nice to laugh." And so you recognize who I am now, River, you know, like, who I'm the Doctor, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we get our explanation for why River doesn't recognize the Doctor in this scene when her other husband shows up, who she's wiped the memory off. And they're looking for Damsel, which is the damsel in distress, which is the Doctor. And he pulls out this like collection of photographs or screenshots from previous Doctor Who episodes, and it only goes up to Matt Smith because, of course, Matt Smith was technically the 12th.
Yes. The final regeneration.
The 13th. Yes. Yeah. And he had to get a whole new set of regenerations from the Time Lords in the town called Christmas episode.
I do love the brief little catch up Peter Capaldi does later on where he just says something happened. Yeah, something happened. Something happened. Which is basically like, you know, when people came back to watch David Tennant in the 60th anniversary and we were like, what happened to Gallifrey again, Scott? Oh, a thing happened. That's how I explained it to somebody from work who stopped watching after Matt Smith and came back into the 60th, and we were like, wait, I thought they found Gallifrey again. What's going on?
No, they all died again.
Oh God.
Well, they died for real this time.
I'm sure it'll be permanent. I'm sure. We'll see.
But yeah, so this is still technically the canon of the Doctor has limited regeneration, so you got a whole new set. Obviously, we know with the power of the Timeless Child that it was just the Time Lords. The Time Lords were just lying, I guess. Where they were like, "Here's a new regeneration energy," even though you don't actually need the regeneration energy because you are the regeneration energy and you have unlimited amounts, but like, who gives a shit?
You know, maybe they just gave young William Hartnell Doctor 12 regenerations and just says, you've got 12. Just, like, this is your first body, Doctor, even though it's your 1 millionth, which is fucking tragic, by the way, but like, most of the Doctor's first million of years is like gone from him. That's kind of tragic.
Sure. The idea behind the Timeless Child, I don't hate. I think there's some interesting stuff you could do with it. I think it's just badly delivered in the episodes.
Yeah, it's kind of something that you could do where you could add more mystery into the Doctor's past. What the fuck did he do in his first several bodies, etc.? Like, maybe...
Yeah, but we saw they worked with the Division to just hunt down people or whatever. You know,
but like,
it suffers from like prequel energy, like not just Star Wars, but prequels for anything, where it over explains something that you don't need to have explained. You know.
We made it silly. Like 2 episodes in a row without talking about the Timeless Children.
Yeah, but they, you know, whenever they talk about regeneration specifically, you got to bring it up because it's so fundamentally different to the lore. We get a brief scene with Nardole where he dies and becomes a head in the robot body. We're gonna have to watch the Return of Dr. Mysterio at some point, because I don't know how Nardole gets out of this.
Yeah, well,
how does Nardole go back to having his body? Because I know he's a robot in Series 10. So does he just like get a robot Nardole body out of this big red one? Like, does the Doctor just save him or something?
We'll be watching it soon. Hint, hint. Ooh. So, we'll find out soon enough. We also find out this whole fucking sequence with Nardole in the fucking robot body is fucking terrible, because he spends the entire time being like, "Oh, I'm scared of heights." Oh. It's just not great acting. It also reminds me of the Wrong Trousers with Wallace in the robot trousers, which is something I wish I was watching instead of this. We also find out when we're looking for the Doctor, they're like, they give him the code name Damsel in Distress, which just reminds me of Doctor in Distress from
Doctor
1985. Which I'm looking forward to covering that song eventually. That's going to be a fun one to cover. No, it's fun. But we were finally, Scott, on a good scene in this episode. 17 minutes in.
And that is the River, her husband, whose name I don't remember, but he's kind of like
Ramon.
Kimbo. And the Doctor come up to the TARDIS and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna steal this machine. I have a key. This is a time machine, Doctor, or surgeon.
Yeah.
You know, like this is you're gonna come with us, but you need to just understand, like, you know, the owner's not gonna know we've got it. I take it all the time." And River's talking really slowly and explaining everything to him. And I love Capaldi's. He's got like one brief shot of just like fake befuddlement where he's like, and it's the best reaction shot I've ever seen from Capaldi. It's amazing.
Again, even the setup to this scene feels like it's going on for a bit too long.
Yeah.
There's a lot of over-explaining in this episode, which I understand because it is a Christmas episode. Your normies will be watching this. They need to follow along what the fuck is happening. But at the same time, you need to be a bit more subtle than this, I think.
At the same time, like, your audience aren't idiots.
Yeah.
You know, like give them a chance, please.
Yeah.
But this builds up to Capaldi being like, finally, I get a chance of doing this myself. It's my turn to do it. And he goes into the TARDIS and he's just amazed. He's stunned. His entire understanding of physical space has been transformed, and he goes on and on with it. And there's some amazing camera angles here of this. It's a really iconic scene of Capaldi like walking around the TARDIS. Like, my God, I love it. It's possibly one of the best scenes. If there wasn't that ending scene with Capaldi and River at the end, I would say this is my favorite scene in the episode, because it's very, very fun. You know? Yeah,
the problem again with this scene is the whimsical music going on in the fucking background.
The music sucks. The music is so bad. Either have no music or maybe play up the like epicness of like, holy shit, look how incredible the TARDIS. Like, it could be such a good time to showcase how beautiful the TARDIS is. You know, even this isn't the best in TARDIS interior, but this is the better looking one of the big grey silver one, you know, because it's got all the books and stuff around the place. So, like, show it off a little bit. Be like, wow, look how fucking amazing the TARDIS is.
But fucking River Song knows where Brandy is. She goes to get some Aldebaran brandy, which is apparently from Star Trek. Sorry, I almost said Star Wars. There's also a fictional whiskey here, but I don't think I see it on screen, but I guess it is just a random prop, which is it's a fictional whiskey connected to the Isle of Skye, where director Douglas MacKinnon was born. So I wish I could take a picture of it and send it to our friend who worked with Douglas MacKinnon, because he's but sadly I don't think it's visible on screen, which is a shame.
We also so the TARDIS goes to take off with River flying the TARDIS because she knows how to fly the TARDIS.
The Doctor
does.
Yeah, the Doctor pushes a button that evacuates the waste tank on deck 7, and then the Doctor turns around to the camera and says, "Oh, I better avoid deck 7 then, because that's how you
it's
know."
Covered in shit.
Yeah, it's not the best punchline to the joke, but I do appreciate it.
It's kind of funny.
I do appreciate a shit joke. I just wish it was written it slightly better. It's like, because it's way too obvious the way that punchline is delivered. Better avoid deck 7 then. Yeah, we get it.
I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, it is a bit on...
It would be funny if we had, 20 minutes later, the Doctor throws the King's head in deck 7. That would have been funnier. A nice little callback. You hear a little splatter sound, and ugh. That would be great.
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah. It might be too much for Christmas,
I want a fucking shit joke at Christmas.
Yeah. But the TARDIS doesn't take off properly, and the Doctor has to kind of tiptoe around saying that he just knows outright, because he for whatever reason he doesn't just want to be like, "Hey River, I'm the Doctor. Yeah, I'm Doctor Who. This is my TARDIS. I'm the Doctor Who. Here's all the history I know about you. Yeah, look at my he really just wants her to come to this conclusion herself."
It feels like 5 minutes ago the Doctor should have been like, "Okay, I'm gonna keep my identity a secret to see what else you are hiding from me." That sort of situation, instead of continuing the whole "I am the Doctor" thing, which he does about 5 more times after this. He does it 15 times throughout the whole story. It gets really a bit too much, and it makes River Song look stupid as well, because she cannot take a fucking hint. Holy shit, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it does take her a while.
It's not even a hint. The Doctor is standing there going, "I am the Doctor."
Says, "I'm the Doctor."
Twice.
Like, yeah, you are. Yeah. But he's like, "Hey, so maybe the TARDIS can't go if there's a head in here and a body out there, because it would kind of rip that person apart, and it's like a safety measure." Although they say it way longer than that.
They basically they basically say what Matthew just said for a minute and a half, just in case somebody in the audience can't understand. It's not that hard of a concept to fucking understand. This episode feels like it could have been 45 minutes. There's so much you could cut out of this.
Yeah, well, not even cut out, just trim down.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you could include every scene and still have it be 45 minutes,
But let us continue.
But they're like, yes, let us continue on the episode. So the episode continues to move forward with River's husband, the one that's like a himbo, getting turned into a robot with an Ardol. And then he comes marching up and bangs on the door, and there's some shenanigans with fucking Greg Davies wakes up again. They drop him, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna blow everybody up if you kill me. I got a bomb in my suit, bitch." And they're all like, "Oh shit, do you really?" And then the robot comes kicking in the door, and it's a way worse action scene than the previous action scene.
Oh my god, yes. Every shot is filmed in really close up, and the editing,
it's so hard to tell where anybody is.
Yeah, the editing is just snappy. You can't tell what the fuck is happening. It's so cheap.
I think it suffers from that. It doesn't actually make sense because the robot suit is so big and that TARDIS is so small, and the robot has to move so slowly for our characters to just kind of get away from it in a not dramatic way. It's a lot of camera trickery to make it feel like there's something bad about to happen when it's ridiculous,
Yeah, it suffers from the same problems as Cyberwoman from last week suffered. You know, it's a very small set, and when you're doing a chase around a small set like this, it's fucking difficult. But Cyberwoman did that for most of the episode, at least. This is just a scene.
Yeah, and it's not a great scene. But it ends with the TARDIS finally flying off because the robot body is in the TARDIS, so that's the whole body is there, and it lands on this space cruise liner, going through, to which the Doctor and River kind of run out into this new environment. Everything's gone from hectic and crazy and Christmas to suddenly it's just any other episode of Doctor Who. You're on a spaceship and it's all fancy and it's a cruise liner. You know, it's basically the Titanic again.
Yeah, and boy, you better love this set because we are here for another 20 minutes.
It's like the rest of the episode. Really,
yeah, so there's basically only 4 or 5 sets in this episode: the TARDIS, the spaceship, this spaceship, and also the street. That's yikes.
Yeah, but I think I prefer this stuff in the spaceship than any other stuff in the episode, really, minus the end, because this feels more like an episode of Doctor Who than the sitting around in the spaceship shenanigans that we had before. It's still not great.
Yeah, I do like the commitment to having a rogues gallery of random aliens. I think Stephen Moffat was the best at depicting these random aliens who aren't necessarily like the main villain of the episode, but it's kind of like a Star Wars cantina kind of vibe. He always did that in like series premieres, finals, or Christmas specials, so I always appreciate that rather than just a bunch of humans standing around.
Oh yeah,
they went through the extra effort here.
Yeah, no, it's fun. The weird blue people that are the head of the waiting staff, and River explains to us as well that everyone on this ship is a genocidal monster, so we don't have to feel bad later on when they all explode. So you know, when everybody dies, we can be okay with it because they were all really, really bad people. Which, you know, the Doctor's like, okay, cool, I guess we're just going to be here then. And they get brought down for dinner. There's a scene where River sprays herself with some spray to put on a magic dress, and it's an effect.
It is an effect, it's all right, you know, for a fairly cheap episode. It's fine.
We get a pretty good scene at this dinner table. I quite like it, where River's reading through her diary and the Doctor's trying to glean like what River thinks of the Doctor, and he's like, oh, he sounds like an asshole, that guy sounds like he sucks, and River's like, yeah, he does kind of suck, you know, and it offers this different perspective on the Doctor, you know,
which is we on one hand, I don't like the constant, oh, I am the Doctor, look at me, recognize me, please, kind of repetition, but I do love the fact that, hey, this is the Doctor getting to view his wife in a brand new light. What is River doing when I'm not around? What do people do when the main character isn't around? That kind of thing, which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
What do they really think of the main character while the main character is sitting in front of them? It's great.
It's like that episode, with the end of that episode with all the Daleks when they forget who the Doctor is. And they're all like, Doctor Who?
Yep.
Doctor Who? Yeah. It's very silly.
And then it gets undone the next episode because they have their memories back again.
yeah, don't worry about it. The waiting staff are like, hey, there's somebody trapped in the hold, so we should probably go and see about sorting that out. It's the big robot guy that's going to come into play later. And then the guy that's going to buy the gem has arrived at the restaurant with them, and he's got a big scar going down his face, and he talks like someone permanently doing a Batman impression.
He talks, if you remember Legends of Tomorrow, which we almost covered on the show, there's this bald guy who speaks in the same kind of gruff voice that's clearly not his voice. It's the same kind of voice, which is, it's really distracting because you're just thinking the entire time, oh, that sounds painful to do, rather than, oh, that sounds cool. You know?
Just waiting on a scene where he goes like, there we go. God, it's like stuck on for ages there. That's the type of voice he's got.
Yeah,
It's
but
comically bad.
what I do love about this guy is he unzips his massive. It does look like a penis head. The whole, the whole dickhead thing at the top.
I guess. Yeah.
But yeah,
I never made that connection, but I see it. Yeah.
There's a character in the TV show Preacher who has a penis head. Just look up Preacher penis head. Actually, don't look that up because I'll send you a picture of him if I can find him.
Don't send me it.
Preacher penis head.
But yeah. Well, Scott, is this going to be even appropriate for me to put up on the episode?
Yeah. I'll send you a picture of the top of his head. Maybe. I don't know. You look at this and you tell me. This is penis head from Preacher.
Yeah.
Because I think somebody went up to him with a giant axe in his head, and then he was left with that scar or something like that.
Right. Okay, interesting.
And then there's an episode where he tries on wigs. I want to show you this screenshot. Preacher is an alright show. You should watch it. It's from the same
I always
team
wanted to
as
watch
The Boys.
it, but I always wanted to watch it, but there was like just a million shows out at the time. Those are really bad wigs.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Preacher was awesome though. Good show.
Yeah.
Good show. What are we talking about again?
So the guy unzips his face, and it's a really good effect.
Yeah.
It's a really nice, fun, suddenly practical, goopy effect that, you can obviously tell when it stops being a real head and starts being a fake head, but I don't care because it's goopy, and he goes, and there's all this slime everywhere, It's really grotesque.
And, it's a fairly basic special effect to pull off, so it's not that impressive, but just something that looks good like this is well needed for the episode because the rest of the special effects are just awkward CGI. We need we need a good practical effect because the CGI in this episode.
Yeah. But it is a good practical effect. It's very nice. And he pays them. And he's like, awesome, give me the gem. Everybody loves Hydroflax. Also, everybody in the restaurant has a scar on their face, by the way. They're all part of the same gang, and they all love Hydroflax.
Yeah, Everybody Loves Hydroflax, of course, is a sitcom, American sitcom, starring Ray Romano.
And this leads to a really long scene with the Doctor and River being like, well, we gotta check where if we're gonna give you the and then they give it to him and then they take it back off him, and then they give it to him and they take it back off, and then they're like, oh, actually, look, it's Hydroflex the whole time, and look, he's alive and he's talking, and everybody bows down, and then the big robot suit comes in, and Nardol's in the fucking suit, and he's all sweaty and gross. This scene goes on. It sucks, but it's building to something good at least. There's this whole sequence of this guy's in here actually, and these people are doing this, and there's a bunch of shenanigans. Yeah. Useless shenanigans going on.
It doesn't take itself seriously, which is a problem because the episode expects you to immediately start taking this episode seriously with River Song's speech coming up. So you need to drop the whimsical music at some point. Make this situation feel like it's dangerous or something. Just do something that's not whimsical music. Just add dramatic music, please.
Whimsy.
Because I'm not invested in anything that's going on so far. Are you? Nothing.
No, not at all. It's I really don't like the plot in this episode at all. It's pretty terrible. I remember when it aired, I wasn't a huge fan of it. And it wasn't until I saw people online raving about the episode. I was like, really? Yeah. The husband's of River Song, really?
I wasn't on board with this episode in the first place because I thought the idea of bringing back River Song after her last appearance in The Name of the Doctor, where Matt Smith's Doctor says goodbye to the hologram, I felt like that could have been the final appearance of River Song. So the first 35 minutes of this episode, I was just sitting there kind of hating the episode already. I was already tutting the minute I found out she was going to come back, and up until her little speech here, when I suddenly sat up and thought, oh wow, we're actually doing something interesting. We're doing something emotional with his character. It feels like a proper conclusion is about to happen here.
It does, and it's a really good speech that she gives. First of all, Hydroflex dies. The robot suit's like gonna kill you, and he's dead. And then it's like, we want a new head, so we're gonna get the head of the Doctor. We're gonna find where the Doctor is and get his head. And River's like, the Doctor's not here, idiot. You think the Doctor cares about me? You think he loves me? Loving the Doctor's like loving a sunset. He's this majestic, godlike animal. And she goes on this incredible speech. It's very, very well done. And the entire time, Capaldi's just like, hey, River, hello.
Yeah.
And eventually she catches, he catches her eye, and she turns to see him, and it's that, they just look at each other. Yeah. That moment of realization, and then, hello, sweetie. Perfect. Perfect reveal. It takes too long to get to it, but it's a perfect fucking reveal.
Before that, though, we do have a little blue alien man, the butler man, looking through River Song's diary. Of course, he goes through the Pandorica Opens. That sounds interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if you've heard our episode on the Pandorica Opens, we didn't like that episode because it was boring. Sorry, hot to take. There's a Jim the Fish reference. There's also a reference to the last thing in the diary, of course, being Manhattan, which is, of course, where River Song lost her parents. So she spends the last part of her life just in pure misery, knowing she's about to die. Her parents have just died. Poor lady. Jesus.
Yeah. But at least she has a good time in this episode.
Yeah, and of course, when she's insulting the Doctor, she does say, oh, 2 hearts, stupid clothes is a way to describe him. Of course, the clothes that Peter Capaldi is wearing throughout his entire run were inspired by David Bowie and David Lynch, which I just had to bring up because, of course, David Bowie died 2 weeks later after this episode aired on January 10th, 2016, 2 days after his 69th birthday. And, of course, David Lynch just died 3 weeks ago at the time of recording. 5 days before his 79th birthday on January 15th. So it's kind of weird how both those deaths kind of fall at the same time of year.
Yeah.
But yeah, both legends, of course. And if you listen to Peter Capaldi's music, I think he is definitely inspired by both Davids.
Yeah.
David Lynch as well. His music is very David Lynchy as well. Lynchian as well. It's weird.
I only listened to bits of his first album. I couldn't really get into it. It's not super my vibe.
Yeah, same here.
I kind of want to check out his other stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't like it to begin with, so I don't know change my opinion.
But hey, good on him for releasing music.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a big thing he's passionate about. Which again,
it's about time a Capaldi was successful releasing music. I think.
Again, if I could see Peter Capaldi in concert, if he was performing near me, I would fucking go see him. He seems like he's an entertaining guy for sure.
Yeah, I would mostly go see him just because he's the Doctor more than his actual music. I don't really care about his music.
Yeah, I'd show up dressed as the Fourth Doctor and just stare at him the entire show, put him off.
But this is also this scene here where she gives the big speech and they do the reveal with one another. It's wonderful, and then it immediately becomes a bad scene again. It's like a brief flash of oh my god, it's a good episode, and then it's no, it's not. Where they just stand there and say out loud their plan to escape, while the villains are like, "What are you talking about? What are they saying over there? What did those guys be saying?"
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where they're talking about something while the other person is just standing 2 feet away because the set is too small, and it's it's kind of like Disney Channel acting, whenever in a Disney show they two characters have to share a little secret, so they just step 4 feet to the left, and then suddenly they're able to have a secret conversation in full volume.
It's like Auntie Donna when it's come join me over here, come over this way. They walk 2 steps away, But yeah, it's very silly and bad. But they are about to plan their big escape, and River Songs is going to touch her boobies because
yes, it's not a Moffat episode unless there's reference to tits or.
I can get on board with that.
Okay.
Okay, so the episode enters its final 10 minutes or so with the Doctor and River falling through the floor because everything is crashing in the ship and they're standing in the perfect place.
Fucking horrendous special effect.
Oh, yeah, it looks terrible. Also, they should die from it probably.
Yeah.
But they land. They fall through the floor, and then River catches the diamond in her chest. She's like, "Oh, yeah," and she's like, "Boobies," which is, Moffat had to sneak it in. It's really not that. It's not that horny of an episode. He's really restraining himself,
compared to watching Missy and the Master in the barn, wherever they did the flirting scene in the Doctor Falls. This is nothing. This is Moffat on his best behavior. But yeah, of course we have to get that one shot of Alex Kingston feeling her boobs. Of course we do.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. They then continue to try to escape out. The Doctor confronts the big red robot from CBBC, and he's like, "Here's this ball with a bunch of banks in it." Sticks it on its head, and it's like, "Ha ha ha! Fire antivirus got you." And the robot just kind of explodes.
They have this confrontation for a minute and a half, and neither one of them moves from this spot. So we're just awkwardly standing in a room that's about to blow up at any second. And the background extras are kind of cowering in fear. They're not moving around or anything. It's just really weirdly blocked, this scene. This whole episode is weirdly blocked. It's such a weird one.
I think it just suffers from small sets, you know, not enough space to do what they actually had written out, and then it's okay, we'll kind of shoot around it rather than do anything else with it. And the Doctor meets River in the cockpit. He makes a joke to one of the blue guys the markets were really bad for the robot, lol.
He has to go off screen for 5 seconds. I mean, he comes back and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for how shit that joke was," which I feel like is. I feel like Stephen Moffat was trying to come up with something way more creative. He slept on it, woke up in the morning, reread the joke, spent another 5 hours trying to think of something better. And then he added that line saying, "No, I can't think of anything else better," basically. That's him admitting that he can't write anything better.
That is Stephen Moffat speaking to his audience there for sure, and I appreciate it. But the Doctor goes to the cockpit with River, and they're like, "Wow, this ship's crashing, and there's nothing we can do to fix it. Let's just hide in the TARDIS before we die as well."
We also find out that River Song fucked Stephen Fry, which cancelled Stephen Fry now.
I
don't think he's cancelled, but he's semi-cancelled.
I've seen nothing about him. Absolutely zilch. But they hide out in the TARDIS as the ship crashes and explodes, and everybody dies, and they get vaporized, and their bodies are not anywhere to be found. And the Doctor comes out, and he's like, "Wow, it's the Singing Towers of Darillium. That's awesome." And then there's just one other guy on the planet, and he's like, "Hey, dude, build a restaurant, okay? Here's a bunch of money. I'll be back."
Yeah, just a random... Just a random dude guy on this deserted planet wearing a yellow hard hat. Sorry about that.
Red and yellow, very similar colors. Hard to tell them apart.
Yeah, I've been staring at that red guy this entire time. I got confused.
It's a bit convenient for convenience sake, there just so happens to be a guy, and he just so happens to know how to build a restaurant and listen to the Doctor, but it's it's got a fairy tale ending.
The guy the Doctor met, if some guy handed me a diamond and said, "Hey, build a restaurant with it," I'd be like, no, fuck you.
die.
I'm gonna buy a new house. I'm gonna give some money to my mum. Shit like that.
Yeah, and then I'll build your restaurant.
Like, why would you fucking build a restaurant with this random guy you just told you about? Like,
on a scene where there's been mass deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But yeah, he builds the restaurant, and the Doctor reappears there at this restaurant, and it's a very golden place with lots of curtains everywhere.
Yeah.
We find out that the next available table is not till Christmas Day, 2 years from now.
Yep.
Which is no
4
big deal.
years
Doctor has
from
a
now.
4 years, sorry. Yes. Whole precedential term. But the Doctor has a time machine, so it's okay.
And of course, we find out this lady who gave the Doctor reservation in the first place.
She works there 4 years, gets no promotion.
Apparently, she's the only lady who fucking works at this restaurant because she happens to be there 4 years later doing the same fucking shift.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
It's a nightmare. You get trapped in some jobs. You just can't escape them. But this leads to a very good scene. It's a really good ending to this episode with River coming out and changing and then meeting the Doctor at the restaurant, and like he gives her the sonic screwdriver, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is she's gonna die, and
also
like,
I'm sorry,
time
but
we see her.
so 4 years later, right? But we also find out a night lasts 24 years.
24 years. It's
so
the same night. Yeah.
It's the same night.
Yeah.
But also,
don't worry about it.
The Doctor is able to reserve a table for 24 years as well.
But like, confusing. Is it? Don't worry about it. Don't.
How does it work? I'm confused.
What are the rules? What are the rules? I guess days would still happen.
Yeah.
Even if it's nighttime, you would still measure, because it takes so long for the planet to rotate. So maybe you just have shorter days.
Maybe.
So it's like we still measure in, say, like, for whatever reason we use 24 hours on this planet, even though we're not on Earth, but we use 24 hours, so it still takes 24 years for a day to happen. But so we don't die from sleep deprivation, we measure our own time. We don't go from the rule of the sun. We make our own time.
So yeah, a night is 24 years. 4 years has like 1,000 odd days. 1,000 times 24. I'm confused.
But they've got a system. I'm sure the people on Darillium have a system.
So this lady, we're talking about this lady who has worked at the business for like millions of years.
No wonder she's not being promoted. No wonder she's not being promoted. She's only been there a day, not even. But yeah, no, it's very silly, and it doesn't make sense. But time doesn't make sense to begin with, so who cares? And this is a very nice scene. It takes a little bit, like the Doctor's a bit of a dick in this scene, where River's like, "Oh, please don't make me die. I don't want to go. Like, you can change the rules. Like, we can spend some time together. Like, this is so romantic, and I love you, and blah 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 blah." And the Doctor's like, "Yeah, the towers sing. They're really cool. There's the wind goes in the towers, and it makes them sing." And that's really cool, because the towers are there. Have you looked at the towers? Well, River's like, please talk to me.
The line of they're ignoring me, but then you can't expect a monolith to love you back is a great line. And it would be even better if 10 minutes ago she didn't use the same fucking analogy with the fucking sunset.
The sunset line is a really good line as well.
But we're both the same line.
Yeah, they are both the same line.
But
she's not very imaginative.
Yeah, this ending is fucking really sweet, and it's nice to get closure on a Doctor Who character. Like a proper bit of closure that hasn't been undone. It hasn't been undone in almost 10 years. How great is that?
Yeah, incredible. Gee whiz.
Whereas, we had Rose Tyler redone, we had Martha Jones redone, we had Donna Noble redone.
Donna Noble, I think, is the most egregious out of those.
Yes. But I am glad, this character only lasted on the show for 7 years and then got dropped. She had a proper conclusion and everything, rather than just
cool story. Fully complete, yeah.
Like, I know Big Finish is still using her. They've been using her character for, like, the last decade non-stop, but that's not as bad, you know? It's Big Finish is kind of in the realm of non-canon, so I don't care.
It's its own thing. It's its own little bubble, yeah.
But yeah, it is super cool that this show managed to have a proper conclusion for once. It's nice. Even though this episode is shit, I'm sorry to say.
It's not great. It's not a great episode. Which, to be fair, like, the Christmas specials are never great.
No.
They're always a bit bad. But I think this one's plot is so dull. Like, they're so paper thin. It's such a paper thin, dull plot. But the moments that people remember of the Doctor going into the TARDIS, the Doctor's reveal to her song, the entire final scene in the restaurant, are like massive peaks in an episode of lots of mediocre lows. You know, like these are really, really good moments, which is why I think so many people remember the episode as well as they do, because it is very good. Those are very, very good scenes.
Yeah. Conveniently, I fucking forgot about the first 50 odd minutes of this episode. Like, I remember, like, I just did not have any recollection of what the fuck actually happens. But I do remember this final sequence, and this could have been a good end point for, actually, not the whole episode, but the last minutes of the episode. If this was Stephen Moffat's final episode, I think I would be satisfied with this kind of ending here.
It would be like, this is a good ending. You left at a good time because clearly you were running out of ideas.
Yes.
But
yeah, and of course, you know, when Series 10 does come around, Series 10 is a soft reboot, and it's obviously after these 24 years have happened. That's the best way you do a reboot. You have a wee gap and don't mention anything that really happened in the previous seasons. Bring back old characters like Missy or the John Saxon Master, that's fine. You don't really need to know the full context of those characters, though. Whereas, you know, David Tennant sitting in Donna Noble's garden at the end of fucking The Giggle. You know, that's a good reset point. Have Shirikawa have new adventures without being so concerned about, oh, you're mentioning Flux, oh, you're mentioning this. Okay, never mind. You're going off a deep end again.
Yeah, you're going deep into the canon again. But it's a solid episode. I enjoyed it. Next week, we are looking at the news, apparently. I don't know if there's been any.
We have new writers. We found out information about David Tennant's feet. So yeah, there is some good, interesting news stories to cover.
Some big stuff. And then we will be entering March. The best month for that is the month in which I become older. And we will be looking at the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Curse of Clyde Langer? I was like half reading it through my eyes. Clyde Langer? What's his last name? Langer. You've killed your microphone. You've destroyed your microphone. You're not coming through your microphone right now. I don't know what you've done. Right at the end of the episode, you've ruined it. You've ruined everything. No.
I think I'm back.
No. There we go. Now you're back.
I'm back.
Now you're back. Now you are. Oh, nope. No, he's not. He's not back at all. He's lying. What has he done?
Hello, I am back.
Now he's back. Hello.
Weird wire. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Am I back? Hello, I'm back.
How long have we done this show?
The Curse of Clyde Langer is a fun one. It's basically 74 yards. Was that what the episode was called? 74 yards, but better. So I'm looking forward to covering it. It's been a while.
That does seem interesting. We are then we're going back into the Jodie era. It's been, you said it was like, what, 2023?
Yes, we haven't done a Jodie episode since 2023 in October, which was the last time we did one was The Fugitive of Jadoon. So
that was a really good episode for us. That episode performed really well.
Yeah, it did, yes.
We are going to be looking at Kerblam, an episode that's really good until the end.
Yes.
The
the opposite of this episode.
Yeah, the messaging in Kerblam gets so crazy.
Yeah.
And then we are ending off March by revisiting an episode we've already covered.
Yes.
Oh my god, we are running out of ideas. No, it's fine. We are looking at Rose yet again for the 20th anniversary of the episode, which is disgusting.
Fucking insane.
20 years since Rose aired, but I'm looking forward to covering it again. It's going to be nice going in with some fresh eyes. We covered that episode a long time ago on the podcast. That was back with bad microphones.
Yeah, I think it was our third episode, because we did the Capaldi box set, the Eccleston box sets, the first Big Finish box set. Then we did the news, and then we did Rose. It's our third episode. Insane.
Damn. Yeah,
all the way back in May of 2021.
With your dick. That's how you used to point your microphone at your dick. May 2020. That's crazy. We did that episode when I was 21 years old. When we next cover that episode, I will be 25.
Insane.
In the week next, like yeah,
crazy.
Long time podcast. Goddamn. But hey, we're getting there. But hey. That's it. That's the end of this episode.
Hopefully our next episode is a good episode of Doctor Who, because we've had 2 stinkers in a row, I think.
Yeah, I hope Sarah Jane's a good time. But we'll find out in a couple weeks' time. We'll see you next week for the news. Subscribe to us here on YouTube at Who Watches Who, Doctor Who podcast, so that you can see that pop up in your feed when it is out. We are also available on audio form, Spotify, Amazon, Google, whatever the fuck. There's a bunch of links. Search up Who Watches Who. Use your favorite podcasting app. Oh look, that's my book that Scott's holding.
Almost the 1-year anniversary of this book being released.
It is. Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane.
That is crazy. And yeah, so you can buy that and check it out. It's silly and sci-fi. Other than that, bye. See ya. Goodbye. Get out of here. Run away. Right.
Bye.